I'm going to share exactly how I would start email marketing from scratch in 2025 using Klaviyo. This isn't just theory. Our agency generates millions of dollars per month in email marketing revenue for D2C brands selling anything and everything from skincare to furniture. And I'm about to condense everything that I've learned into one actionable video. Now, most 7 and even 8-figure D2C brands are either doing email marketing haphazardly when they just randomly find the time, or they're working with an agency that doesn't really understand their brand voice and ultimately are just producing hella mediocre results. The e-commerce landscape is changing. Competitors are popping up out of nowhere, and consumers are getting more and more skeptical, and they're starting to spend less with looming tariffs and everything that's going on in the world today. Customer acquisition costs keep rising and eating into your profits. Now, if you're relying solely on Meta or Google ads right now, you're putting all of your eggs in a very expensive basket. Now, in this video, I'm going to break down the exact step-by-step process that I would follow if I were starting Klaviyo email marketing for a D2C brand in 2025, including the first 3 flows that you need to set up immediately. These alone can generate like 15% of your revenue, how to build a list that actually converts without resorting to discounts, and the exact segmentation strategy that will double your open rates and have doubled open rates for our clients. Now, if you're a D2C brand doing at least $1 million in revenue a year with a decent sized email list, this video could literally transform your business in the next 30 days. Now, email marketing is one of the most undervalued assets in 2025. The ROI is much higher than pretty much any other platform, getting a 36-to-1 on every dollar you spend. Now, it's also the only system you actually own, and it's why brands like AG1 are winning so big. They aren't trying to be profitable off the first purchase, they're playing the LTV game, and it's why they can pay so much for customers and why they're going to win in the long run. If they can pay $200 because they know the LTV of their customer is $400, and you have a supplement brand and you're paying $20 and you know the LTV of your customer is $40, who's going to win in the long term? Now, we had a brand last month that we've been working with since summer of last year, and they've been consistently hitting $800K to $1 million a month. Out of the blue, their Meta ads got banned. Traffic dropped by over 60% and their revenue dropped too. But the crazy thing was that they had their most profitable month ever, nearly 6 times more profit than any other month. Now, obviously this is because they weren't spending a lot on Meta, but the only reason that they could do this was because they had an email system that we built out for them. Okay, now the first place that you want to start with email marketing is starting to actually build your list. We start with a pop-up. Now, we'll have 2 different types of pop-ups. Usually we'll have an exit intent pop-up, and we'll also have a timing or scroll-based pop-up. Now, you can do a number of different things here, but usually we'll start with the basics. Usually we'll start with a discount, and that's either $1 off or a percentage off. Usually the reasoning there comes down to like, hey, what's your AOV? For example, if your AOV is $5,000, if you give 10% off, that's a lot. And 10% off actually doesn't look as good as saying, hey, you get $200 off. But with that $5,000 AOV, you're saving like $300 per order. $1 off works usually when you have a higher AOV. The percentage off usually works better when you have a lower AOV. If you have a $60 AOV, if you're going to say 10% off, that sounds a lot better than saying you have $6 off your first purchase, right? No one's going to care. Now, if you don't want to do a discount, there's other options here too. You can do a quiz, you can do early access, you can do a free guide, you can do shipping, free shipping, you can do a product with order. There's a whole variety of different things that you can do if you don't want to just rely on a discount. Now, one of our favorite things to do in the pop-up is actually to use a choose your journey segmentation at opt-in. Now, what this looks like is usually something to do with what people's desired outcome is or who they are as a person and what they're looking for here. So for example, if you have a skincare or a supplement brand, you might have some people who are looking to build mass. You might have some people who are looking to lean out. You might have some people who are just strictly looking to lose weight. And depending on that, you might have different supplements for each one of them. So by gathering this data right away, you're gathering that zero-party data, which you can then later use in campaigns or in flows. Now, this pop-up, for example, gets a 10 to 12% submission rate every single month, and we're asking for zero-party data here. So like I said, what we'll do is we'll take this and then we'll segment out the list based off of what people's answers are. And the craziest part about this is you can learn so much about your customers that you might not otherwise know. For example, this brand found out that gut health was the #1 reason and found out about 80% of the people who are purchasing because they wanted to improve their gut health, which is wild. Previously, they were kind of looking at like vegan and convenience and a couple of other things, but this completely changed the course of their business. It has a very clear offer. It has super clear options, and we're asking one single question. We're not asking 1,000 different questions. Now, if you look at this pop-up though, it's super unclear, it's super cluttered, and you're asking way too many questions that honestly don't even matter. Now, if you want to improve your opt-in rates, go ahead and watch this video where it covers the exact strategies that we use to get this brand's pop-up from 2% to 10% in just a few months. Okay, now once you have this pop-up, the first 3 flows that you're going to want to set up immediately are number 1, the welcome flow. Now, the welcome flow isn't just to welcome people and say welcome 10 different ways. The first thing you want to do is deliver the offer that you promised people to get them into the list. So this is what's feeding in from the pop-up. It sets the tone, it builds your brand voice, and really what we're trying to do here is just handle different objections that people might have. We're trying to get people to know, like, and trust us here. So we want to share stories. We want to share the reason and the mission behind the brand. We want to share social proof, so things like PR and reviews. We want to share different things about different products and show people why you're different and why they should probably like you. Most brands completely miss the mark here because all they're doing is just restating the same thing in every single email, and it's not doing anything to handle people's objections. If you can actually handle people's objections as they come in, you have an opportunity to have 3 to 6 different touch points with people so that you're building that community, you're building that trust, and ultimately you're building your brand off of that. Now, the second flow I would 100% recommend you should have is the abandoned cart or the abandoned checkout flow. The goal of this flow is pretty simple. It's to recover those lost carts. But here's like where most people go wrong. Most people's abandoned cart flow is literally just, hey, you forgot this. Hey, your cart misses you. Hey, your cart is lonely. Hey, do you want 10% off? Hey, do you want 15% off? Hey, do you want to just take the product? At the end of the day, you're not handling people's objections at all. One reminder is fine. But if you have 6 different reminders and they all say the same thing and it's talking about how your cart is lonely, no one cares. Your cart isn't lonely, right? So what we want to do here is a couple of things. One is personalize it based off of the product people viewed. You're going to want to use a Klaviyo dynamic block here so that people are seeing what they actually were viewing. Now, if you're using this dynamic block, you do want to make sure that you check it first because sometimes rogue products will show in there that people didn't actually view. So you need to make sure you're reviewing that on a consistent basis, especially right when you set it up. Now, the main purpose of this flow, obviously, like I said, is to recover those lost carts. But what we want to do is handle people's objections when they actually get to that checkout page. So if someone has joined your email list, they've checked out some products, they've added them to the cart, and they've hit the checkout page, they've got intent. They know what they want, but they're going to have different objections as to why they might not have purchased yet. Now, you're going to want to personalize this based off of your brand because every brand is going to have different objections, but here are some core ones that we use. The first one is just ADD. It's a reminder, right? It's just reminding people of what they forgot. We live in a very busy world and sometimes people just genuinely forget. We don't want 6 of those though. We want the first email to be kind of just a reminder. The other things that we're trying to build up here and the other objections we're trying to handle is trust. So this can be done through social proof, through PR, through showing people like before and afters. The other objection we can handle is shipping time or shipping cost. If your shipping does take a while, this can be a really great objection to handle here. And then finally, we'll handle product cost. Usually we'll take that to the very end. We'll say like, that's going to be the 4th email or maybe the 5th email in the sequence, because if we can handle all of the other objections that people have before giving away margin, we're going to be making more profit. Now, if you want to take this to the next level, you can start personalizing this based off of product categories or collections as well, and handling different objections that people might have against those specific categories or collections. Now, the third flow that is an absolute must if you actually want to build a brand is the post-purchase flow. Now, most people get this wrong because usually what they'll say is, thank you, want to follow us on Facebook. But what we want to do here is turn buyers into repeat customers. And we want to make sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to make sure that people actually achieve their desired desired result. They purchased your product for a reason, so we want to make sure they actually enjoy it, they get what they want out of your product. If you sell supplements or if you sell skincare products or things like that, it's very, very easy to be like, hey, here's the things that you need to do to make sure that you get the most out of this product and you don't screw it up. So what we want to do here is share tips and tricks and how to use and how to apply and how to take and all of those things that if people did wrong, they would not get the result that they want to get. We also want to get people hyped up, get them excited, get them stoked that they made the purchase, and we want to reduce that buyer's remorse as much as humanly possible. Other things we can do in the post-purchase flow is asking for feedback, so asking for reviews, recommending complementary products, cross-selling, upselling, building out loyalty programs, referral programs. And again, you want to think about this in the terms of the customer, not necessarily just like, hey, we should just sell them some random stuff. We want to make sure that this is actually relevant to the customer because it's going to dramatically improve your LTV and your ROI from email. Okay, so once you've got a system to grow your list, you've got nurture sequences in place, the next piece is scaling with campaigns. Now, flows are very reliant on traffic and they're more of like an efficiency and conversion mechanism, whereas campaigns are one-time sends and they build over time as your list grows. So it builds a lot more stability in your revenue. It builds a lot more predictability in your revenue as well when you don't have to 100% rely on traffic to make sure that your store is working. Now, most brands use email as a one-to-many source of revenue. They are just kind of talking at people, but really email is a one-to-one, and the one-to-one also means that one can get back to you and communicate with you too. This is where you can learn so much more about your customers, learn so much more about what products they want, what they like, what they don't like, and really like why they're shopping with you in the first place. You can learn all of this by just asking them. It is a hugely overlooked thing that you can do with email, is just having direct communication with your customers. And what better way to plan new drops, to plan new products, to plan new things than to just ask the people who are going to buy them. Now, beyond this, most brands don't send enough campaigns, or they just are randomly sending campaigns. They might send 2 this week and then they'll wait 4 weeks and then they'll send another 2 or 3 and then they'll send another one the next week. It's just super sporadic. What we recommend is our clients send anywhere between 3 and 5 campaigns per week, but we don't just want the same old content. We want to make sure that there's a good variance of content. People are actually interested and we're not just blabbing all about us. We want to provide value to people. Now, some examples that you could use with your brand would be like value-based emails, tips and tricks emails, new products, product spotlights, review spotlights if you got some really great reviews, educational emails, and that could be like an ingredient breakdown. It could be educational about like why the product works so well, how the product works, that type of thing. It could be, hey, we're featured in these new stores, you can go pick us up in this location. It could be product drops. It could be kind of like evergreen storytelling, telling people about the brand. It could be sales and promos as well, depending on what your brand wants to do. You can break these out so many different ways. You can do teases, you can do reminders, you can do last chance with drops, you can do teasers, you can do so much with email, and it doesn't all just need to be sales and promos or just all talking about you. You want to provide value to people and make sure that people actually look forward to your emails. Now, a very common mistake here though is sending the same email to everyone on your list with zero segmentation, just batching and blasting everyone, and what you end up dealing with here is just really low engagement. People unsubscribe, or people just don't care because you don't care about what they're receiving. And ultimately, because of that lower engagement, you're gonna have less revenue from the emails that you send. Okay, now I'm gonna share the segmentation strategy that doubled open rates and 3x email revenue for a supplement brand that we work with. The main idea here is that you wanna match the content to the segment that you're sending to. And there's 3 different types of segmentation. So the first is engagement-based segments. These are people who have opened or clicked an email, and what you really want to look for here is how recently have they done this, or how frequently have they done this. Recency is more like, hey, did they do this, like, did they open an email a day ago, or was it 35 days ago? And frequency would be like, hey, have they opened 16 of the last 16 emails that we sent, or did they open 1? Either or, both of those different options have wildly different engagement levels. The second type of segment that we use is a purchase history segment. Now, usually what we're looking at here is people who have never purchased before, people who have purchased once, people who have purchased multiple times, and then we're looking at those VIPs as well. The idea here is that we don't really want to send people irrelevant content. For example, if someone purchased something multiple times and we're doing a product spotlight email on that certain product, it doesn't make sense for them to receive it because they already are going to buy and they already like that. And it's just going to probably bother them to be like, like, I don't need this. Like, why are you sending me this email? I already know I like it. Right? You might want to send a reminder for people to buy it again if you're selling a supplement, for example, but you don't want to send the exact same email that you would send to someone who's never purchased before. The third type of segmentation is by browsing behavior. Now, what we're looking at here is stages of the marketing funnel. So we're looking at people who have viewed products, we're looking at people who have added to cart or added to checkout, we're looking at category interests, and really there's a whole variety of different things you can do here. So I'm just going to jump in and show you exactly how to do this right on Klaviyo. All right, guys, so like I mentioned, we can use engagement-based segments, purchase history-based segments, and then browsing behavior-based segments. One of the core segments that we'll usually use is like a 30, 60, or 90-day engage segment. And we'll usually segment this out for purchasers versus leads. So leads would be people who have never purchased before. Purchasers are obviously people who have purchased before. So this is kind of an example. So we look at people who have opened an email at least once, or they've clicked an email at least once in the last 30 days, and they have placed an order at least once over all time. And they also can receive email marketing. So this is one that we'll use very consistently. We'll use this, and we'll use like a 30-day engaged leads where we just remove this so that we can better understand like where things are coming from, what's working, what's not, and ultimately like which segments we should be continuously sending to versus which ones we should maybe look at like not sending to quite as frequently. Now, beyond that, kind of like the core things that you can do here, you can go on forever about segments that you can create, but in order to actually create these in here, you'll see like there's a couple of core things in here where it's like what someone has or has not done, someone is or is not in a list, properties about someone. So if you're looking to, for example, create a segment of some people who have recently clicked or recently opened, you're going to want to use what someone has or has not done. And then you can select the event that they have or have not done. So if we're looking at open, you can use the search function here and say opened email at least once in the last 30 days. You can change all of these as well. So you can look at 0 times, equals, does not equal, is greater than, is less than. There's kind of an infinite amount of capabilities here with specifically like what someone has or has not done. Now, when you're looking at other things here, the core ones I'll usually use are what someone has or has not done and properties about someone. Properties about someone are particularly useful when you're looking at like gathering zero-party data, especially in a pop-up, a quiz, or something like that. And then what you can do is just say properties about someone, and then you'll select that certain custom property. It could be your dog's birthday or dog's name or whatever. And then you can go ahead and create certain segments based off of that as well. So again, there's like an infinite amount of segments that you can create here, but this is just kind of like a high level of what you can do and where you'll probably want to start. Okay, so now that you know how to do that on Klaviyo, the other thing you're going to want to do is just remove the people who are unengaged from your list. These people are not engaging. They haven't opened your last X amount of emails, and at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how big your list is, it matters how engaged they are. Now I'm going to show you an example here. Which email would you engage with if you were looking to improve your gut health? Would it be this one, or would it be this one? Chances are you're probably going to engage more with the one that talks specifically about gut health and is specifically relevant to you and what you're looking for from this product. Now, if you're doing all of this, but you're not even getting to the inbox, literally nothing matters. This is why deliverability is so important. So before you start any of this, you want to make sure you set up your DKIM, your SPF, and your DMARC. You want to make sure you're consistently cleaning your list and reviewing your deliverability on a consistent basis. If you don't, you're going to spend all of this time doing all these things, and then you're not going to get anyone to see your emails. Now, if you do have a D2C brand and you're doing over $50,000 a month in revenue, and you don't want to do this all yourself, there should be a link below this video that you can click on and you can apply to work with us. And if you do want to dive a little bit deeper into segmentation, this is probably the thing that's going to move the needle the most for you. Go ahead and check out this video.